All of these reasons are awful to become a nurse. It kind of feels like it's stupid to have to say this, but it is good to hear it. To hear someone say that there are millions of jobs where people serve and love others. You don't have to be a nurse. You don't want to be a nurse? You don't have to be a nurse. Hey everybody, this is the Nice Veins World podcast again, the number one podcast for nurses who want to live that next level life. I am Nene Pablo, host of this podcast, registered nurse, and creator of Nice Veins Bro. Friends, it is story time. I remember that night like it was yesterday. Me in my patient's room, first year of nursing, right out of college, shaking my hydrocortisone, about to give my patient their sub-Q injection. On the outside, I look like I have it under control, but on the inside, there is this overwhelming anxiety burning up inside, thinking, is this it? Some of you can relate. You work so hard for this nursing degree, you get a job, and then you start to feel, oh, my goodness gracious. There's sweat, there's tears, there's sleepless nights when you're in nursing school. And then when the rubber hits the road and you get your first job, you're excited. But then a couple of months go by and you're hit with the realization, wait, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. There are going to be times, whether you were meant to be a nurse or whether you were absolutely not meant to be a nurse, that you are going to question whether this was the right profession for you. Should I have been a nurse? Should I have done this? It's a very overwhelming feeling, and maybe you've felt it before. Nursing is truly not for everybody. Now, I'm still a nurse, and though I question it from time to time, especially in the past when I first became a nurse, I know that I was meant to be a nurse. I know that I was meant to study nursing and go to school for nursing because of the way that my life has planned out. But maybe you don't feel that way. Maybe you sincerely feel that you've made a mistake and that this is not what you should have done. Or you were even considering to do nursing and you're not even sure if this is what you should do. Today we're going to be talking about the 5 signs, in my opinion, that you shouldn't be a nurse. Okay, the 5 signs that show you should not be a nurse. So if you're considering it, or if you're considered leaving after you already gotten your RN license, listen up, because these will be signs like red flags. Some people are really superstitious. You know, those balls that you would shake, and then it would reveal an answer. Because with the black liquid inside, and it had like this little dice on the inside with, yes, you should, or, like signs in the sky that, you know what I'm talking about, right? That you would see and you would kind of shake it and be like, well, does he love me? Does he not? These are going to be your 5 signs, the 5 red flags that tell you and reveal that you should not be a nurse. Stick around.
Let go. No.
Hola mi gente, everybody has a crazy nursing story to tell. If you want to share yours with the world, send it to me. I'll feature it here on the podcast and you can get my take on it. You can also ask me questions, love questions. Remember, HIPAA rules do apply when you're telling your story, of course, and I will make sure you remain anonymous. I don't know what you're waiting for. Send me a message, niceveinsbro.com/podcast. That's again, niceveinsbro.com/podcast. Looking forward to it. All right, so the first thing I want to get out of the way before we go into the signs, okay, is that nursing is not your identity. Being a nurse is not who you are. Being a nurse is what you do. Okay, it's a practice. It's a skill that you learned. It's something that you went to school for. It is not who you are. It is what you do. Okay, that is extremely important because when I ask the question, 5 signs you shouldn't be a nurse, if you are so attached to the identity of being a nurse, that's like the 5 signs that you shouldn't be you. Okay, it just doesn't work. You have to be able to detach yourself from that identity because your identity is much bigger than just what you do. So that's the first thing I want to just get out of the way before I keep talking about that stuff. All right, let's talk about who should not take up nursing as a career or those who really should abandon it. Okay. If you're a nurse and you have ever thought about leaving the profession, do me a favor if you're watching on YouTube and comment below and tell me why you have thought those thoughts. Maybe the reality is that nursing is not for you. That is an option, and there should be no shame in that because it really is a career. Is this for you or not? Sign number one that you shouldn't be a nurse is that you are inflexible. The idea that you've got to be in control. Let me tell you, if you feel like you got to be in control of things, okay, or you have more peace when you are in total control of everything that's happening in your surroundings. First of all, there's no job out there where you are fully in control of everything. But there are jobs out there where you are more in control of what's going on than out of control. And a lot of the time, if not most of the time, when you're a nurse, you're dealing with situations that are out of your control. And there is so much flexibility that you've got to have. You've got to be flexible with your time, with the way that you order your schedule, the way that you plan out your day, things that you prioritize. You've got to be flexible to your surroundings. If you're a nurse and you are inflexible, you are a terrible nurse, because nurses need to put priority as the minutes go throughout their day, and it's ever changing. Depending on the team that you're working with, depending on the patients that you're working with, when you're dealing with your patient, things are going to change throughout the day. And if you are inflexible, you're going to be a very, very unhappy person working in your environment. This is one of the things that really I struggled with, okay, because I'm kind of low-key a control freak in many ways. I would like to say that it's not just I'm a control freak, but that I like things to be done well, right? That's the nice way to put it. But the reality is that I like to be in control of things, and I'm not super duper flexible, okay? I can deal with it, but I'm not the most flexible person, just kind of like, I want things done at a certain way, at a certain time, in a certain manner. In general, even if you're an ICU nurse, Mercy, you've got to let go of some of that control because some things you are just not going to be in control of. But if you are a control freak, think twice about becoming a nurse. The second sign would be if you are extremely introverted. If you hate people, just kidding. The subject of your craft is a person. I don't know how else to... That in itself tells you that you should have at least some kind of ability to work with people. There are jobs, yes, in nursing where... if you're a little bit more introverted, because I think it's really a spectrum, but if you're a little bit more, I don't think it's a hard line, like you are either extroverted or introverted. I don't believe in that. But if you are, a little bit more introverted, there are jobs in nursing that allow you to have a little bit more of that, working on your own kind of thing, or working from home, et cetera, that kind of thing. Or if you are working with a smaller group of people, your team is a little bit more close-knit as opposed to working with a whole unit, for example. Maybe if you are a little bit more introverted, you can find a job in nursing that is like kind of a solo thing or with a smaller group of your team. Regardless of what it is, if you are extreme on that spectrum of introverted versus extroverted, if you are extremely introverted, I would say perhaps kind of reconsider or think again. It's kind of a red flag when you are considering to be a nurse. Also, something I want to add to this is that if you are extremely introverted, sometimes that causes us to be like totally terrified about confrontation. And in nursing, you are the advocate. That is one of the pillars of nursing, is that you are an advocate. And if you are willing to be an advocate, or if you want to be an advocate, you have to be comfortable enough to stand up for that patient and advocate. You have to be willing to stand up and sometimes be confrontational. All right, so signs so far that you shouldn't be a nurse is number one, if you are very rigid and inflexible, and then number two, if you are extremely introverted. Sign number three that you are not cut out for nursing is that you are not gifted in both sciences and service. The discipline, the knowledge, the research, the science, all of that is super important. But if you are not also gifted in the soft skills, in the interpersonal relationship building area, or vice versa. I mean, if you are also very gifted in hospitality, but you low-key suck at the sciences or trying to understand that area of the healthcare world, then maybe this is not for you. Nursing is literally the marriage of these two, the ability to have a very strong understanding of the sciences and also have a gift in translating that into the community with the people within your care. That is the core mission of being a nurse, is being able to have a great understanding of both of those and be skilled in those. I see so many people go into nursing who end up not liking it because they don't realize that both of these are absolutely essential and they have strengths in one and they don't have strengths at all in the other. There's always going to be nurses that kind of lean more to the sciences or the data-driven stuff, and then other nurses that are like geared more toward the hospitality and the love and the service kind of area. But at the end of the day, the best nurses are the ones, or the most fulfilled nurses within the profession are the ones that can, jump from one to the other most easily. But if you are exclusively one or the other, nursing is not going to be enjoyable for you. I'll tell you that right now. Sign number 4 is kind of interesting. It's you should not be a nurse if what you want to do is treat the disease. I'm being very technical with this, because I think it's important. If all you want to do is treat the disease and attack the disease and understand the disease process, and your focus is the disease, you should not have been a nurse. You should have been a doctor. If you think that I am making this up and you want to fight me, go look up the medical model and then go look at the nursing model. They are different, and they are different for a reason. It's not that one is better than the other. It's that there are different approaches that they actually work very well together. But you need people who focus on treating the disease and then other people who are focused on treating the individual. Nurses have patients as the center of the nursing model, and the medical model has the disease as the center of that medical model. Some nurses out there are miserable because they should have been doctors. And some doctors out there aren't the best at their job because maybe they should have been a nurse. They are completely different professions. I feel like I need to say this again and again and again, because some people might want to fight me and say that, actually doctors also are patient-centered. It's like, listen to me. I'm not the one saying this. Look at the models. Look it up. Nursing model, medical model. Do they run into each other sometimes? Yes. That's why nurses have to have a very strong understanding of the scientific side of things and the disease process and stuff. But at the end of the day, our approach to healthcare is patient-centered. The medical model is disease-centered. And we work really well together. You can't have one without the other, but you are going to suffer and not be fulfilled with the idea of nursing if you want to approach things with the disease model. If that's the way you want to approach things, go be a doctor. And I can think of nurses right now that I want to be telling this to. You should have gone to medical school if you wanted to be a doctor, and doctors, if you want to be taking on the nursing work and have a patient approach, leave that to us, okay? And then let's work together with love. Don't fight me. It's the model. If you're so focused on disease process and the science behind it and you're fascinated with it, that's fine. Maybe, just maybe, I'm not saying definitively, you should have been a doctor. Or you could go and get your nurse practitioner and be an amazing, be a provider in that sense. But at the end of the day, nurse practitioners should still approach their care with the nursing model. Working with a doctor who has a medical approach, there's this beautiful combination when a nurse and a doctor get together and combine the two models. That is a gift, and the doctors who value that you work with, they'll see the beauty in combining the two. So that's sign number 4. If you are interested in treating the disease that affects the patient, as opposed to treating the patient that has the disease, then you probably shouldn't be a nurse. If you don't like what I'm saying and you think that I'm being a little extreme on this, that's fine. But you probably shouldn't be a nurse. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right, let me tell you number 5. Sign number 5 that tells you you should not be a nurse is if you know you are doing it for the wrong reasons. Whether it's for money or status or respect, or for just the idea of having a quick employment path or job security, you know, the parental pressure that you face, you know, that your parents are really pushing you to do this, or you make them proud because this is what they've always wanted you to do. All of these reasons are awful to become a nurse. And if you recognize within yourself that those things are your number one reason to go into nursing school, you are doing it for the wrong reason, and you should not be a nurse for those reasons. Now, some of us maybe have one of these reasons as, you know, number 4th reason to go into nursing. That's fine. The point is, if it's number 1, if it's your number 1 reason to become a nurse, you shouldn't be a nurse. I want to be a nurse, you know, because of the money opportunity, or because it's a quick employment path, or because of job security. Fine. That's fine. Make it one of your reasons why you want to become a nurse. But if it's your top reason, number 1 reason why you go into profession, or your second reason, or your third reason for that matter, if it's any of your top 3 reasons why you're going to do nursing, it's probably not a good idea to become a nurse. Those things don't fill your cup. Those aren't strong enough whys for what you're doing. The most important thing is that you have a powerful and meaningful why. That is the most important thing that should convince you about being a nurse, because that's what's going to last. Your strong and powerful, meaningful why. That will take you a very, very long way towards success at the bedside and beyond. One thing before I close I want to say is I want to talk to the nurse who's listening who feels like they made a mistake by choosing to be a nurse. The first thing I want to remind you, and I said this earlier in the podcast, is that being a nurse is what you do. I want you to let that sink in. Being a nurse is what you do. It is not who you are. It's not your identity. If you decide to leave the profession, it is okay. You're not walking away from who you are. You are only turning away from a certain action that you choose not to do anymore. That's it. And in fact, those skills that you learned as a nurse, you can carry that over to many other areas. So you walking away from nursing doesn't mean you are walking away from yourself. You are choosing a different path. And you know what? Respect. It kind of feels like it's stupid to have to say this, but it is good to hear it. To hear someone say that there are millions of jobs where people serve and love others. You don't have to be a nurse. You don't want to be a nurse? You don't have to be a nurse. It is okay to leave, especially if it helps fulfill your dream, if you've gained clarity about what your mission is. I absolutely salute you for finding that. That is beautiful. That's what we're all about as nurses. We ought to find and help people live their very best life. That's what we're all about. And sometimes it's outside of our own profession. Sometimes it's for a season. So I just want to let you know, someone who's listening to this podcast who feels guilty about finding another purpose outside of the profession. It is okay. We still got you. Once a nurse, always a nurse. The skills that you learned as a nurse will help elevate you for that next season of life that God has called you to. Hey, I just want to thank you for listening. It means the world to me, especially because at the time of this recording, I'm still only a couple months from starting this whole thing. So if you're interested in helping me build this brand even more, please share this podcast on your social media and grab some merch from the website at niceveinsbro.com. Got some great stuff there for sale. Send me a DM on Instagram and share some encouragement, some love, and some hate. I will welcome that too. But don't be shy. Talk to you soon. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast and found it useful if you are a nurse or thinking about doing nursing. If you're thinking about doing nursing and you listen to the podcast and some of those 5 reasons scare you, just open up and tell me about it in the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, let me know or ask me questions. I'm happy to answer them. All right, that is it for this episode. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to help me build this brand for nurses, to help all nurses live their next level life, please share this episode with someone. Share it on your social media and leave a review. Please leave a review wherever you're listening to this. Like and subscribe on YouTube and follow on Instagram. Remember to be a positive force within healthcare and society. Que Dios me los bendiga. When I would listen to podcasts before I became a podcaster myself, I didn't realize how much leaving a 5-star review helped. And so now on this side, I just want you to know that it really does mean a whole lot when people review and share the content. So if you enjoyed it, please share it with somebody and leave a 5-star review on whichever platform you use, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. And if you're interested, you can also find us on social media at Nice Veins Bro, or shop online at niceveinsbro.com. My personal stuff you can find under Nene Pablo, which is spelled NENEPABLO. I spend most of my time on YouTube making vlogs and videos and on Instagram. So I would love to connect with you. And remember, be a positive force and influence within healthcare and society. It's all about God, wellness, and purpose here. Thank you for listening.